Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Welcome to Doha and the SoccerX Asian Forum 2016. This gathering of the football fraternity in Qatar here is SoccerX's 40th event over a period of more than 2 decades now, making Doha the 16th different city to host SoccerX. It's fitting that we're here at the halfway stage, quite literally, exactly the halfway stage in Qatar's preparation for the 2022 FIFA World Cup. And this morning we'll hear from the forum's title sponsors, the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, about the tournament, about the plans for the tournament, and the legacy opportunity from the tournament that's being held here in Qatar. Before we do, I'd like to introduce our SoccerX chairman, Mr. Tony Martin, to welcome you on behalf of the organisers today. Tony, come and join us, please. Morning. Morning.
Thank you, Richard. Hello. Good morning. A very warm welcome to Qatar and the magnificent Grand Hyatt Hotel here in Doha. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for making your long journeys and taking time to be with us at this Asian Forum. A special thanks go to the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, who've been long-term friends of SoccerX and continue to support our initiatives. The remarkable vision that the Qatar nation has for the 2022 World Cup and the 2030 legacy brought with it a promise of unprecedented innovation and investment, and an invitation to individuals and businesses from around the world to bring their knowledge, their expertise, and their capability. Qatar's progress and the considerable external assistance that's required now and in the coming years will be discussed here at SoccerX. We're privileged to have both Hassan El-Tawadi, the General Secretary of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy, and Nasser El-Khatta, the Assistant General Secretary for the Tournament Affairs, here with us today. Hassan is going to speak to us in a short while. Many thanks also to our regular sponsors, La Liga, Market in Manchester and Lockton's, and to all our event supporters, Aspire Zone Foundation and the rest of the Qatar football fraternity who have made us so welcome. Each of them providing essential help in giving SoccerX the capability to provide a regular platform for football business opportunities, to help the game to improve and prosper, and to focus on football's power to do good. At this event, many products and services are being showcased in our exhibition, and we have lined up many networking opportunities. Our conference program is extensive, with experts reviewing the planning of major tournaments, the development of professional leagues, both in Europe and in Asia, technological evolution, stadia, sponsorship, sports sciences, players' health, performance, coaching and development, plus an informed look into the future of the game. This year has seen the sad loss of the SoccerX founder, Duncan Reevy, one of football's great sons, who had the vision to bring the world of football together for the good of the game, and he did so for the past 21 years. On behalf of Rita, the SoccerX family and friends, I'd like to say thank you to the world of football for your kind-hearted condolences and your support that you've given us during this very difficult time. Sadly, almost at the same time, we lost one of our great SoccerX ambassadors, the great footballer and World Cup winner, Carlos Alberto Torres. They will both be sorely missed. Our thoughts and condolences, of course, go out to the family, friends and supporters of the Brazilian football team, Capacanense, so tragically lost in the plane crash, transporting them to their final. A poignant reminder, it seems, to us all that life is transient and often precarious. The magnitude and importance of sport in the world is a contemporary phenomenon. The health, social and cultural benefits of playing and watching the game are significant, as too is the modern substantial professional industry that has grown around it. Our beautiful game is by far the dominant sport and is the world's commercial leader. Asia has by far the world's largest potential football audience, and modern technology can carry every game to each fan instantly, wherever they may be. But Asia is not content to simply be spectators of the game. There's a growing surge in participation across the continent. Major new investment in grassroots infrastructure is being implemented, and a determined push in coaching and skill development is underway. The game is on, and the established football countries of the world should be paying attention. Qatar is making a massive, selfless investment in football, aspiring to become one of the great football sporting nations, and in doing so providing huge economic opportunities to its partners. In increasingly anxious, unstable and divisive times, Qatar will bring the world together by hosting the world's football fans for a unique and amazing World Cup, demonstrating once again how football can be used for extraordinary social and humanitarian benefit and leave a lasting legacy, not just for Qatar, but for the region, Asia, and the rest of the world. SoccerX are proud to be part of these initiatives. So too must everybody that's here today. Please enjoy your SoccerX experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tony. Right, swiftly on to welcome you on behalf of the title sponsors. Please put your hands together now for, and Tony mentioned that he's already in the room, Hassan Al-Tawadi, Secretary General of the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy. Hassan, please come and join us.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my honor to welcome you this morning to the opening of the SoccerX Asian Forum. To those of you traveling in from outside of Doha, I offer you a special welcome and hope that you benefit from attending the conference and from your experience visiting our country, enjoying the hospitality for which our region is renowned, and getting a sense of what it is to be like in it will be like in 2022, maybe with less construction on the road. To those of you attending who work here in Qatar, I hope that this conference serves as beneficial in terms of networking within the industry, sharing best practices, and applying that knowledge at the company or institute that you work with. Now, before delving into any other matter, it's important that I take this moment to celebrate the life of the driving force behind the concept of SoccerX, Duncan Revie. Duncan's passing in September was greeted with much sorrow by all of us who came to know him while we worked on our bid, touring the world and presenting our concept at Duncan's SoccerX events. There are now numerous events and conferences based on the vision that Duncan had pioneered through SoccerX. The first SoccerX convention was held 20 years ago, back in 1996. Duncan had the foresight and understanding with regard to the direction of the football industry was traveling and taking. The 19s transformed the sport as an industry, and Duncan identified the need for an event that brought together all the key players involved in that transformation. As the industry has expanded, so has Duncan's vision. SoccerX has been to Mexico, has been to Ghana, Jordan, South Africa, to name but a few. Our own experience with SoccerX began at the end of 2009 in Johannesburg, 7 months before the 2010 FIFA World Cup, and a year before the decision toward the hosting rights for 2018 and 2022. The event brought together all the bidding nations, providing an opportunity to showcase the details of the bid to an influential audience. Duncan was, as he always was, welcoming, warm, hospitable, kind. We learned the benefit of attending SoccerX, and since then have repeatedly returned to the convention in many different parts of the world. It is an important vehicle for hearing the latest developments within the industry, expanding your networks, and working to enhance existing relationships. I'm not sure whether Duncan would have envisioned SoccerX being hosted in Qatar when he opened the very first event at Wembley with Sir Stanley Matthews back in 1996, but in my view, the expansion of SoccerX is a reflection of the globalization of the football industry. The economic development and expansion of football was kickstarted in England in the 90s, yes. Undoubtedly, also, the traditional European markets still form a vital economic core of the football industry. But new markets are growing, and they're growing at rapid speed, developing markets within their own regions, and entering into traditional markets via sponsorships and club ownerships. We firmly believe that hosting the 2022 FIFA World Cup can serve as a catalyst towards accelerating development of our region as an important hub in the global football and sporting industry. We're doing everything we can to harness the potential of the event. Today, you will hear from a number of different individuals from within our committee, including our Assistant Secretary General, Nasser Al-Khater, this morning, on the projects we're working on and the progress we've made to date. You also hear from Xavi Hernandez, who I'm proud to say, as an ambassador for a Generation Amazing football development project, will be discussing it today. And please take this opportunity, while you're here, to enhance your understanding of what we are working to achieve. Make contact with our team, who will be around today, and build mutually beneficial friendships and working relationships for the future. Since that inaugural SoccerX event 20 years ago, the convention has held over 40 events on 5 different continents. This week is Qatar's turn. I'm sure Duncan would be proud to see SoccerX placing another flag on its travel map. We sincerely hope that you have an enjoyable couple of days, learning new things, exchanging best practices, and, of most importance, as I believe Duncan would have wanted, making new friends. Thank you very much, and I wish you great success. Thank you.
Hassan, thank you. Duncan, naturally, has been mentioned already more than once this morning. I was there, funnily enough, back in 1996 at that very first event at Wembley when SoccerX was launched. And I'm extremely proud to be here today, having discussed this venture with Duncan over the last 6, 8, 10 months or so, only to find that he left as a head of the last SoccerX conference in Manchester. Not that anybody knew during that conference. Very typically of Duncan, he fought the illness he had with extraordinary bravery, refused to share it with anybody, and all but won the battle he set out to win. I've pagefuls of notes here this morning about the guy. I don't need that. He was all of those things that Hassan said: warm, friendly, hospitable to me personally at different times in my life, enormously supportive, and his loss is huge. In order to mark the work he's done at SoccerX with Rita, his wife, who's here today, going forward, there will be an annual award, the Duncan Reevy Award, to people who have done special things like Duncan did within our business, which it is now, our game, which it once was. The recipient of the inaugural award is in the hall today. Before I invite him to the stage, I'd just like you to watch this video, which will tell us a little bit more about him and his football club.
Welcome to Sheffield FC, formed in 1857 and recognised as the world's oldest football club. This is the home of football.
Football is the most popular sport in the world, and the game can be traced back to this semi-professional club in the north of England.
Sheffield FC were formed by two gentlemen cricketers who wanted a winter recreation for cricket, and they played ball games in various universities around England and formed a common set of laws by which then they played a game. Within the first rule book of Sheffield FC said we shall kick off from the middle, which obviously is the same today. It's kick off from the centre spot. Each team can play in a blue cap or a red cap, which obviously is a forerunner of kits. And then as the game started to develop over a number of years, Sheffield invented crossbars, corner kicks, free kicks. The first header was recorded by a game between Sheffield and London, where the London players fell about laughing because the Sheffield players were moving the ball or butting the ball with their head, which of course is the forerunner of headers. And the first floodlit game was also pioneered in Sheffield.
Now in its 159th year, the club still faces the everyday challenges of competing at a non-league level, but there's also real optimism around its future.
So without Sheffield FC, none of us would be here today doing what we are. Richard is in the room. Richard Timms, the chairman of Sheffield FC. Richard, come and join us, please, and say a few words.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, and certainly SoccerX and Rita, thank you for choosing Sheffield FC as the recipient of the first Duncan Reevy Award. I met Duncan 16, 17 years ago when I got involved in Sheffield FC, the very early days. I'm from Sheffield, and when I got involved in Sheffield FC, most people didn't even know who Sheffield FC were in Sheffield. Our greatest claim to fame, as Bobby Charlton said at our 150th dinner, is we've played football for 150 years, no boom, no bust, just for the love of the game. And we continue to do that today. So when I got involved, I'm a marketer, you'll probably be able to tell very shortly, but the Premier League was taking off, SoccerX was taking off, and I met Duncan and I said to him, I'm going to get involved in Sheffield FC, a grassroots football club, and globalise it. I think he thought I was a little bit bonkers, but hey-ho, we will see. But being a true football man, he got it. You know, the oldest football club in the world, the start of the biggest global game in the world, should be protected, should be preserved and promoted. And he got it. He got it straight away and helped me from then to now, really, in trying to tell the world where football kicked off. You know, non-league football clubs don't exhibit in Doha or Johannesburg. So it's, you know, we've used the friendship of SoccerX and Duncan's understanding of what we're trying to do to tell people where football kicked off. When I started, one man and a dog used to watch Sheffield FC in a field in Sheffield. We didn't have a ground. 141 years, we didn't think it was important to put roots down because we just turned up and played. Obviously, things have changed. We now have a stadium. And I started to increase the footprint of the world's first football club by getting involved in its community. We had one team. We now have 26 teams. We have a Women's Super League team, disability teams, futsal teams. So getting ingrained in the community at our level is absolutely important. And then when I started travelling and telling people about the world's first football club, they became in awe because most people didn't know how did it all start. Obviously the FA in 1863, but you know, to be a governing body you have to have something to govern, so the clubs came first. Now, obviously I don't need to give you a history, you just had a snapshot of the history there. But alongside that history, my job is to preserve, protect and promote the heritage of the game. But more importantly, a club at our level, because we're never going to compete with the Real Madrids and Barcelona of this world, is respecting the values of the game: integrity, respect and community. So that's our sort of mission, our statement really, is let's not forget how the game started and why it started. And Duncan, more than most, understood that. So, you know, we've come a long way, and I was chatting to Hassan earlier, it's now come a full circle because we're here in SoccerX again, you know, 16, 17 years later. And an interesting point was that I was there in Johannesburg before Qatar won the opportunity to host the World Cup, and being entrepreneurial, I went around all the stands saying hello to people, world's first football club, good luck with your bid. And I bumped into two people on the Qatari stand. It was Nasser and Hassan. And I gave Hassan a picture of the world's first football club. And he said to me, I went to university in Sheffield. And so we had a chat, just a brief chat, wished him good luck, thought that was it. And he pointed to me and he said, I'll see you again. And I never thought anything of it. Absolutely never thought anything of it. To everybody's surprise, I think Qatar won the opportunity, a fantastic opportunity for the region of hosting a World Cup. 2 years later, he walked through that gate you've just seen me walking through and said, told you I'd see you again. And he did the first public, I think it was the first public broadcast with the BBC at the home of football. Anywhere in the world to make an announcement or a broadcast in this global world of football, and he chose a field in Sheffield. So we've been developing a relationship ever since. We brought our women's team over here. We have a very successful Super League team. You know, we play the likes of Aston Villa and Arsenal at women's football. Our men's team are never, ever going to achieve that. But as I say, women's football is more community-led at the moment, so we can compete. So we've been developing a partnership since then, looking at various ideas of working together. So meeting at SoccerX, meeting Duncan at SoccerX promoting the world's first football club and understanding that it's not all about how much Gareth Bale earns. We know that the market is up there and that's where the commercialisation is. But you've got to remember that every football fan in the world, whether you support Real Madrid or Manchester United, you came from us. Our actual audience in telling people about the world's first football club and its values is about 3 billion. So we are truly a global football club. We're a local football club, Sheffield FC, but we're a brand as well, the world's first football club, protecting and preserving the heritage and history of the game. As I say, Hassan understood it, Nasser understood it, and Duncan certainly understood it. So we have education and community projects around the world, but we're still aimed at delivering grassroots football. I'll leave you with a final thought. Our long-term project, I mentioned, we now had a ground for 141 years. We managed to sort that out in 2003. But we now have an opportunity to move back home. The rules of football was written in a field in Sheffield, in the centre of Sheffield. We now have been granted that land, and we want to take the world's first football club back home. And we want to build, it doesn't need to be a big stadium, but a stadium on the very first field. A stadium where kids can come, adults, fans from all over the world. And it's not a museum because we're a living, breathing antique. We're a real modern forward-thinking football club. But see where the game kicked off. So a heritage centre, a history centre, an education centre, but also a live football club. Now, there are great links there with what's happening here in Qatar with the stadiums. So, why has Sheffield FC, and certainly the criticism sometimes for the UK press, have we been associating with Qatar as a non-league football club? Well, it's again going back to Duncan, it's about going back to the nation of Qatar, it's about being a pioneer. Sheffield FC were the first pioneers of the game, first headers, corner kicks, free kicks and crossbars. We have a project called the Club of Pioneers where we gain reach by talking to different countries. So we have a relationship with the oldest football club in every country. There is one somewhere, there's one in Qatar, there's one in France, and so it's how the game developed around the world. So Qatar now are the new pioneers of the game. So it's a project I call Grassroots and New Shoots. The World Cup says World Cup for a reason. It's not exclusively European or American. And the first World Cup in the Middle East, I think, will be a fantastic event. And these stadiums that have been built here, they all have a link back to the home of football. And my final note there is we will build a home of football. It's tough at this level getting the momentum to do it, but we will build it, hopefully by the time that Qatar host a fantastic World Cup. And at that facility, my relationship with Duncan, I want to be a permanent legacy. And we would like to name the first stand built at the home of football as a legacy, if Rita approves of this, called the Duncan Revie Stand, at the home of football for a true football man. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Stay with us. Stay with us. Stay with us. Thank you, Richard. To make this official, and it's fitting, really, in many ways, that the first Duncan Revie Award should go to a protector of our game, from an innovator in our game, Duncan. And Hassan, if you'd be so kind as to make this presentation, we'd be very grateful. Thank you. Chairman, do you want the chairman? There we are.
There we go. I think Hassan and